Oh, hello! Thank you for joining us for our first ever Lark Apprentice Information Session. Yay! This is an online event and it's designed to give you some extra information on what the Lark program is, how our application process works, and an insider perspective on the program from some Lark Apprentice alumni. This info session is being live streamed on the Lark's Facebook and our Instagram, so if you're viewing in real time, we encourage you to share any questions that you have on Facebook or Instagram, or tweet us at larktheater.org, and we can answer you here in real time. So first, I'd love for you to meet our team. If you all can introduce yourselves with your names, pronouns, relationship to Lark, the Lark Apprentice Program, and how you spend your time, that would be dreamy. I will go first. I'm Kull, and I use the pronouns she, her, and hers. I'm the Director of Communications and People at the Lark, and I manage the selection process for our apprentice program, and I spend my time both at the Lark and then at home caring for two little ones. And I will pass to you, Nick.
Cool. Hi, my name is Nikomeh, or Nick. I use they or he pronouns. I was the development apprentice at the Lark a little while ago. How do I spend my time now? I'm a multidisciplinary theater maker, teaching artist, literary associate, lots of hats person. I think that's all my classes.
Nissy.
Hello, everyone in our world. I am Nissy. I use many of pronouns, but I will respond to she pronouns. I am the current artistic coordinator at the Lark, as well as I'm a former artistic programs apprentice. And I spend my time as a writer and cultural worker. And I will pass it to Maia.
Yeah, hi, my name is Maia Safani. I use she, her, hers pronouns. My relationship to the Lark is that I was an apprentice also a few years back. I was the Global Exchange Apprentice, and now I work at Signature Theater, which is just down the block. It's an off-Broadway theater company here in New York City.
Thank you. And Nissy, I'll pass to you for a program overview.
Well, even before we get to that, we do have some backstage crew, so we just want to give them a shout out. So we have Jennifer, Haley, and Winchwan behind. You can't see them, but they're waving right now. They were filming this session, and they'll be looking out for your questions. So if you have them, please let us know what they are. Great. So I'm going to give you a quick program overview. During the apprentice year, I am the point person for the apprentices. And a lot of this information you can find online. So what I'm going to try to do is give you the things that you can't find online. So as it states everywhere, our apprentice program is for aspiring arts professionals, early career arts administrators who get a season-long residency at the Lark. The apprentices join our small staff. You're super integrated into our staff as we try to uphold our mission of providing transformative support to visionary playwrights and arts makers. So each apprentice joins a particular department and gets specific skills and responsibilities within their department, and you can find all of that on the website. There are also some activities that you are a part of once you join our team. So one is community building. So you are a cohort of 5, and that cohort model of learning is a huge part of our apprentice program. So there are many things that you do together, one of which is our Honors Hour, which is where you can invite folks within the industry to come and talk to you and tell you about their like stories within how they became professionals, how they may try to change the system, or whatever you want for your Artist Hour. That is what it's done. It's curated amongst the team, as well as questions that come up during the meeting. That's all done by y'all. And the Lark has Mad Connects. We will try to get folks in for you. So some folks that we have gotten in the past: Lynn Nottage, Rachel Chafkin, Martina Mayat, all the lovelies, they come in and support our apprentice program. Great. The other thing is goal setting. So a big part of the Lark's philosophy is that we place our artists in the center of their processes, and that extends to the apprentices as well. So 3 times a year you will meet with me to talk about how you want to shape your apprentice year, how you want to shape your residency. So we talk about 3 professional goals that you may have, as well as 3 personal goals. We recognize that you are workers here, but also that you are full humans. So we want to make sure that you think about your artistic goals and how your professional world can also feed into your artistic goals as well, whatever you may be working on outside of the Lark. Cool. Been talking a lot. We're going to take a breath and move on.
Can I just say that's so dope? Like, even being like from a few years back, there's like just continuing like structures that are being added to the program that are like really cool. Like I wasn't like, oh, we didn't have Nissy back then,
Yes,
but
and why do we
I'm
have
jealous.
now? Because
I'm
we have an apprentice, former apprentices helping shape the program,
Yeah.
and we are really big on what does it mean to like create change and support those that are coming in. So we love being malleable at the Lark. So we talk about Artist Hour, Apprentice Roundtables, which has always been around. So again, you're artists, you're full humans. We want to know what you do outside of the Lark. So twice a year, we host Apprentice Roundtables where full staff attends, and we just share our work. Around the table, we offer questions. You offer questions. We offer any type of feedback that may feel good, and we give you a budget to spend a bunch of money on food because sometimes it's nerve-wracking and everyone loves to eat. Great, and the last thing that's really important to the apprenticeship is end of year party, which you can view in two ways. One way is like this is the end, we're celebrating you, and we also make you plan your going away party. But it's a lot of fun. We completely turn the 5th floor of our studio space into a party, and that is completely planned by the apprentices. So whatever floats your boat and tickles your fancy, you get to do within our space. Cool. I think those are the activities that I have. Is there any activities that stick out that we can offer more information on?
I think artist hours are like super cool, like low key, like getting to meet and like get insight into other artists' processes and the way like the way that they think about like certain questions that you may have as well as an artist. It's really cool.
Yeah, and
Just wanted to highlight that.
bouncing off what Nick said, it's so rare to have them every week. I think a lot of other programs will offer, you know, occasional meetings with artists, but the fact that we were able to invite somebody in every single week to talk to us was really special, and we got to not just talk to writers, which is, you know, the Lark specialty, but we talked to different artistic directors, we talked to designers. It was really incredible.
Yeah, just to add to the goal setting piece, which is structured by Nissy, I feel like that just to highlight that offers a really big inside look into how APOD, our artistic team, structures how we work with artists. So you do get like an insider look at the artistic process.
And I think that's really important too to know is that all of our activities and everything that we do is really centered on process. So while we do set goals and they can be structured around product, well, actually what we're actually thinking about is what transformation are you making from point A to point B within your apprenticeship, and how the Lark can help you and how our resources can help you along the way. So how do you become an apprentice?
Yeah, how does it happen?
Yes.
We like it. Now, how do we do it?
Okay, yeah, so this, buckle up, this is the nuts and bolts of the application process. So applications are open now for the 2020-21 season, and you have to apply by midnight on March 18th, and that's an important deadline because often we can't read things that come on after the deadline. We're really quick, and evaluators get materials the next day. So apply before midnight on March 18th. And also everything I'm about to review, for the most part, is located on our website. So again, www.larktheater.org. It's under Get Involved, under Apprentice, and it will walk you through the different pieces to apply. But the basics are, we have a very short application form where we're asking you to consider which positions you want to apply for and give us your contact information. We ask for a personalized, tailored cover letter, which where we want to hear about specifically what goals are you coming in with, and in part that's for us to see if what you're looking for is something that we can offer and we can provide in the program. We also want to see how your values influence your work and why you're interested in specific positions that you apply for. So we really do look for all those pieces in the cover letter. Additionally, we ask for a professional work resume, and what we mean by that is something that either highlights or points to any administration skills that you are coming with, and that can come from an educational setting, and there can definitely be artistic experiences within that resume. We just need to see how they might apply to the positions that you're applying for. And then a letter of recommendation, and that piece can be specifically for the Lark, but it definitely doesn't have to be. Feel free to reuse the recommendation that's for something else. We just want to see, we want to read about someone speaking about you and your work. And then in terms of how the applications are reviewed, we have an evaluation committee that has intimate knowledge of our apprentice program. So historically, it's and then based on recommendations from that committee, they'll move into a short, sort of an initial round of short interviews. And I wondered, Maya, it's been a hot second, but could you tell us about anything you remember about that interview process in terms of how it felt, what you did?
Yeah, I mean, I was an apprentice right after college, and so this was my first interview for anything resembling a job. I had done short internships before, but it felt different, and none of them had been at a theater company. And so I remember being very nervous, and something that I loved about this process and about the Lark was that my first interview was with Anna, and that you initially put me at ease, and that it was really about getting to know me and showing what I brought to the table and what I was interested in, and exactly like you were saying before, how the Lark could complement me in that way. And then after we had spoken, I think it was like a 15-minute, 20-minute interview maybe. My second interview was with John Eisner, who's the artistic director, and ended up being my direct, who I supported. And that was more about what the apprenticeship that I would have would entail, what the job responsibilities would be, and how I met those, and him trying to find out a little bit more about me and about my interests, my experience, but again, also very much putting me at ease, which I think was a great segue into what this apprenticeship is, because it's such a lovely, everyone, when you come in here, everyone really trusts you, and that wasn't something I was used to. I always felt like I had to prove myself in my past internships, and here there was just a level of trust already established. They were like, we hired you, we think you can do the job. And then it was really about how do we make this the best experience for you, and how do we make sure this is a learning experience for you that you're going to take past here and remember. And that's absolutely what it ended up being. So it was amazing that I felt was part of the interview process as well.
Thank you. Yeah, we definitely, just to lift that up, thank you. Yeah, we really want folks to interview us as well. Like, it's a big commitment, like 10 months, 25 hours a week is a lot of your life. So we very much welcome questions, digging in, like, if you want to talk to past apprentices during the interview process, get the information you need, I'd say to any applicant, to see if it's really how you want to spend your time. We love that. Yeah, like Maya said, it's 2 rounds of interviews. The first one's short, usually by phone or video. In the second round, some folks come back for a second round, and that's with direct supervisors. And then applicants are considered through the entire interview process. There are times that after we've gone through a second round of interviews, we go back to the initial pool of applicants, and I feel like that's important to point out. There's been many times actually that we've done that, so it's not a linear process necessarily. We sort of circle back, and folks remain under consideration throughout. Something that folks ask me a lot is how they can increase their chances of getting an interview. So there's just 2 things I want to highlight. One is we get way more amazing applicants than we have positions for or even end up interviewing. And there are folks that are highly capable, so just amazing folks. I always tell everyone that the interview process for the apprentice program gives me great faith in the American theater, because actually just theater in general, because I feel like the next generation of folks who are going to have it in their hands are incredible. So that's not to scare you away from applying, but just to say if you don't get an interview, it has nothing to do with how amazing you are. But historically, one piece that can increase your chances of getting an interview is if you're interested in an interview position in communications or development or theater management, and that's just because that's a lesser volume of applicants for each of those positions. So when that's a top choice or even a second choice.
And can I really talk about that for a second? As someone who has been on the apprentice selection committee and read all the things, often with so many amazing people, I think competing, trying, oh, I want to be an artist, so I have to be in the artistic programs. It's the way that I came into the theater was through development, which I wouldn't call myself a grant writer, really, but it's not my my safe place. Arts, I feel would be my safe place. But getting a different perspective and learning the skills and sort of the thinking behind development really helped me, not just with the next job, but helped me support my artistry more, because development, you have to write grants for yourself someday, if you're going to be an artist. stuff like this. So all of these skills that you can get from these different positions can really, I'm just saying there's not just artistic programs. It's really like the community vibe here, and what you can accomplish like here and learn towards your artistry and towards your next thing.
And because you have been on the evaluation committee for many years.
Oh, I sense a handoff coming.
Yes, could you share with us some of just what you feel makes a strong applicant?
Yeah, I'll say that a lot of people, it's really hard for me to like look at a resume and be like, oh my gosh, this person is going to be the next artistic person, like resumes really help us just like look at your experience, your tools coming in, and like people may come in with like a very high toolbox or a very, not as many skills, but it's really, I think, like the cover letter and showing, not just like saying these are what my values are, but like trying to show how you demonstrate your values in action, especially around like access, equity, inclusion. All too often, I get like, all right, I hear this language being used all the time, but like, what does it mean? What does it look like? What does it feel like in the room? And even if this is like, that's like a new thing for you to sort of go into, looking at like power relationships in theater and in the world, just at least acknowledging sort of wherever you're at within your journey is really helpful, because this is a space where you get to get deeper. And then like what other things? I'm like, well, I'll bring it. There's more. Cause like specific like program to program, like I know like communications, if you have any interest in like being with community and like also connecting with community via like digital media, look, live stream, like
yes, which one?
social media, which are like all important tools for us like as artists, as people, how we communicate who we are, what we do to other people within social media is really important. Development, I know that they really like people who have both like big picture thinking. This is me. I'm like, I see all of the structure and everything and my place within it, but then also can have that like attention to detail to be able to like go through databases and like catch errors and stuff like that. I have a little cheat sheet here because there's like a lot of things here. Theater management. Oh yeah. Theater management, like people who like to greet people and make space for people. I think that's also like a shared quality with the artistic programs too. But theater management, I feel like, is more like also what does it take to physically care for a space and like use a space. And space can be so political sometimes too, like how much space you take up and emotionally, socially. So all of those thoughts come to my brain. Artistic programs. Do I need to talk about artistic programs? I mean, we're gonna talk some more about. I feel like I've been talking a while, but I want to give the shout out to those other ones too.
Yeah, and do you want to take artistic programs?
Well, I think for all of them too, because I think they all meld together, especially for a strong applicant. I love the word vision and I use it a lot. We really want to see that you have vision and you see how this, whatever apprenticeship you may choose to apply to, fits within your trajectory. Like, how do we see your worldview operating in real time? Also, like, brag on yourself. Like, again, like Nick said, there's only so much we can get from a resume. I love seeing folks who know what their skills are and what they're working on and how far they want to go. Like, let us know all of those things. I also love a great recommendation letter. Like, when it's a love letter to you, it like breaks my heart open. I'm just like, oh, I love this. Because sometimes it is really hard to brag on yourself. And also, like, coming straight out of school, we may not know that it's okay to talk about more than just the raw skills that we have, because we're really taught how to just say, I can do A, B, C, this is why I need to work for you. So if you're still within that model, like, have your recommender, like, just gush about you, because that also makes a huge impact.
Also about the recommendation letter, I would definitely say, like, those people, those teachers, those mentors, those leaders that, like, you feel seen and, like, know you as a person, like, those are and like genuinely like you and your work, and understand sort of what you're doing. Those are the kind of people that you want speaking about you versus well, I got an A in this class, so I'm sure I'll get a good recommendation. But I don't know what people, I don't know the thinking process around, but you can just tell when someone genuinely likes the person and specifically sees their journey, because then it helps us see where your journey can continue in the Lark, I think.
Yes. So to wrap up our sort of application section, so we can get into the what's it like being here, past our awesome structure. So our the applications again are due March 18th, and then they go to the evaluation committee, and for a few weeks, and then they're passed on. And we do interviews from around mid-April to all the way through mid-May. We're working really hard at having an equitable process to the best of our abilities, so we take our time, and that's intentional, but I know that it can be hard from an applicant standpoint, so just to own that. Interviews anywhere between mid-April and mid-May, and then with plans to have notifications out by June 1st to folks. So we'll offer calls and a notification email for folks who applied and didn't get an offer. And then again, just to say again, applications remain under consideration throughout that whole time. Great, so I'm gonna wrap up applications. And I wanna turn it, Maia, Nick, and Nissy have all been apprentices, so this is an amazing opportunity. Something I'm asked a lot is what a day in the life of an apprentice is like. Anyone share thoughts on that?
Sure. It really depends, and that's something that I loved about working here is that I was the global exchange apprentice, and so I was working more of a 10 to 6. But my fellow apprentices, some of them worked, completely different hours depending on what the needs were of their programs. And something that I really valued was that this is pretty much like an open office floor plan. I worked really closely with all the different departments, and so it was kind of just me popping in, asking a ton of questions. That was the other thing that was amazing, was anytime I had a question, it was answered, and the work I was doing, it worked really closely with marketing and development, and with artistic programs, and so it was constantly me going over to someone and be like, how do you produce a reading? How do you write a grant? And people were really generous with their time, and they were like, let's set up a meeting and talk about that. And so a lot of my day-to-day was kind of a mix of me meeting with people to learn more about what I was trying to do, and then kind of in the weeds logistical email stuff. I did a lot of email drafting. I was working a lot with cultural producers who were working in other countries, and so I was talking to them. I was talking to the writers that were participating in our programs, which at the time made me really nervous, but was absolutely amazing to be emailing with writers I had such admiration for. And then spending a lot of time with the apprentices. My cohort was really close, and a lot of them I'm still very close with. And so we spent a lot of time just talking and comparing notes and talking about what we were interested in outside of the Lark. No typical day.
And just a reminder to viewers, you can pop your questions online, and we'll prioritize you.
Yeah, we'll answer them live.
Yeah, I'm glad you touched on that in terms of interacting with folks outside of your department, because we get asked that a lot.
Yeah, it was a lot, and it was great. I would say that I knew everyone on staff really well by the end of my time here.
This is a surprise question, but how do you feel like the apprenticeship sort of defines education, or how did you find it educational? What did that mean?
This is something I think about a lot, both on the other side of it, but I realized when doing my end of year evaluation that a lot of it was experiential, and I realized a lot of my learning came from just sitting in rooms. So I was an artistic programs apprentice, so I had access. Everyone has access to all the rooms, but it was a part of my job to be in these rooms, and I realized I just spent a lot of time watching the ways that Lloyd, Andrea, and Krista communicated with our artists, and how their conversations allowed the space for our artists to be whole and really vulnerable in the spaces. So I had my task and administrative duties, but actually just sitting and watching them on the couches, in between programming or right before studio retreat, which is our public programming, I learned a lot more about what it means to hold space and what it means to hold programming and even curate programming from watching them just work.
And I remember there being some like pretty dope staff retreats. I don't know. What was that? Yeah.
We still do this.
Yeah, like pretty dope staff retreats where it was like, buckle up, everybody's learning and talking right now too, so, which is cool. Because then it was like also like, oh, let's intentionally talk about equity and inclusion and things like that, like, and what it means like in our staff. Yeah.
I still think of it kind of like graduate school.
Absolutely.
Because I completely agree with everything you said about learning through osmosis and just you're invited into so many rooms that I never anticipated I would be in. And I learned so much just watching other people do their jobs so well. And I also think, for me, one of the reasons I wanted to work here so badly was that there were writers that I was interested in, and I would go to my college library and I would look for their plays and they weren't there. And then I was like, a college student, I was like, I can't email a playwright, that's weird. Sorry. So having access, being able to read so many plays when I was here, that was incredible.
So, Jennifer, we have a question.
We have a question. It is the program looking for applicants with a completed draft of a play? Can it be far along in the development process without full completion?
Yeah, we don't, so probably the best place for that would be a submission to our Playwrights Week program, because our apprentice program doesn't have space, or we're creating intentionally administrative experience space. But we do have either Open Now, I think Open Now, right?
Yes.
We have open access to our Playwrights Week program, and we are looking for, I'll turn to you actually, I'm gonna say the wrong thing, in terms of looking for a completed draft there.
Well, we would love a full draft, but this is a developmental process, so if you send us a draft and actually explain it, we will read it.
I have another question.
Yes.
Curious about the background of past apprentices. Do a lot of them come from theater, dramatic writing programs?
Some of them?
I can talk about, so I come from like an actor background, like theater, NYU, drama, really like, I'm actually more of like in the physical theater, sort of experimental, that's sort of my artistic stuff, and so me being at a place at the Lark is more intentionally trying to be in the theater world, but not necessarily administratively be a part of the same stuff that I'm artistically like interested in. Like I like a good play, but I really like to just like move my body in space.
Totally. Yeah, we've had like a lot of folks come from a theater background, but in many different ways, a lot of different kinds of artists, a lot of folks that are interested in admin as a career, educators too, folks who are newer to theater but interested but didn't get involved in college, and this is sort of a bridge in. We've had a huge variety.
Not in any way required to be from a theater background.
No, this is actually a good entryway. Beautiful. I wonder if you all could share like a rose and a thorn about the Lark and our apprentice program, like something, maybe start with the thorns, like something that was challenging, and something that was particularly sweet.
I'm always down for a good thorn. That's my brand.
Oh, and we put this out there at the Lark.
Yeah, like I always get for a good thorn. I think like, and this is sort of like my probably challenge to like theater in general too, of like the way that the program I think gets at goal setting is very useful, I would say, for the capitalist structure that we live in. But at the same time, I think that like the way that I have to do goals in my reality after the Lark program has been more like intentions and how to make space for like the intentions that I have in the world. Because at the same time, the Lark is like, oh, we're so process oriented, but when you look at a goal, it's like a linear thing, like here, here, right? When like the process looks like here, here, and what if it ends up like here? Like that's still, that whole journey was valid. So that's probably my like challenge on
Yes.
things.
Thank you. Totally. And and that's something that's evolved in the past year. Goal setting is different.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I also like how the I think the goal setting is evolving too.
That's what I was gonna
Which
say.
is what I'm
Evolving.
seeing too, which is why I was like really like Nissy. I'm like, oh, there was no Nissy back when I was
Yeah.
there too. So like, yeah, it's very interesting.
Yeah. Any thorns, Maya?
You know, I think for me, the thing I always think about from that year, it would have been a thorn, honestly, anywhere, was just like adjusting to life
Yeah.
after college and learning what that's like and learning what that's like in theater where, you know, well, now you're paying the apprentices hourly.
Yeah. First time ever.
Which is amazing. But trying to figure out how to balance my work pursuits and my personal life and, you know, like how much time it takes to do laundry and get groceries. That was, I think, the hardest part was learning how to prioritize. And yeah, the goal setting was really helpful for me because that was not something I had really done before. And John, the artistic director, is really big on goal setting. And so he would constantly ask me what my goals were and then tell me that they weren't measurable. He was right, they really weren't. And so that was hard, but also I felt supported while I was figuring that out.
We have another question, and it's kind of on that same point about how to maintain a good work-life balance as an apprentice here.
Yes. Any insight?
I mean,
That's a good life question, first of all. Whoever asked, that's a very good life question.
I think though, I mean, I just talked about how it was hard. But I also think, actually, one of the people just walked by, something for me that was really incredible was that in addition to building mentors on staff here, I had a core group of friends. I'm actually from New York City and I moved back and none of my friends did. And so I came here and I was like, besides my family, who's around? And I became really close with some of the other apprentices. And so that really helped with my work-life balance because some of my closest friends became people that I got to see every day because they were in the office with me.
My work-life balance at the time was probably a little askew because I decided to take the wonderful opportunity of like having access to space to try to also basically direct a full production like while I was also here, which I did, which was fun. But yeah, wasn't super balanced back then. I'm more intentional about that stuff now, so I don't know necessarily how to answer the question.
Yeah. And there is a shift this year, just to point out. We're doing 25 hours a week, which is the second year that we've done that. When Maia and Nikomeh were here, we did 30 hours. And we're paying $15 per hour, so it's sort of a cap of 25. And if folks have less work, they can take less time.
That was
Two more
actually,
questions?
oh,
Yeah, but finish your
sorry,
thought.
really quickly. That was actually something that was really important that I learned at the Lark that I would have never looked at for otherwise, is that everyone on staff is so good about being like, you've done your time, go home. And I think if I hadn't learned that lesson, I wouldn't have stuck up for myself in other situations where people have asked me to stay late. It really gave me agency to say, like, I've done my time and it's time for me to leave and not just spend all my time at my desk, which I'm still very thankful for.
Great. So we've a couple more questions. The first one seems closely related to this is someone was wondering if apprentices have the ability to hold another job to supplement their income, like time-wise.
Most do, yeah.
I did.
I did as well, and also one of the things I was going to say was during orientation, we tried very much to bring in past apprentices, and that is actually one of the biggest questions that come up. Is like, how do you maintain multiple jobs while working? Because sometimes, as we know, one job will not get us through. So we try very much to talk to the apprentices about how we can make that work as well. So your schedule can change if you get another job. We're really flexible on staff.
Great. Another question. What type of administrative work can apprentices expect?
Oh, yeah, so that'll vary greatly by department. I think everyone works in the database, so you'll get some access to database in some way, shape, or form. You'll get lots of experience in sort of working in shared docs, Word, Excel. We were a very highly email culture, so heaps of that. What else admin-wise?
Like all those like office-y, the skills that you kind of need for like admin stuff is sort of it's like hard to like put a
grants, you know, you get your eyes on
yeah,
that.
for Devo, yeah, you get like access to grants and stuff. But the other thing was like, I remember like I was interested in like learning some more about like communication stuff. So like I had like this project that I was working on that I like asked you, like I was like picking your brain a lot. So like even if it's like outside of like your workload, you can always sort of like utilize like the experience of like people on staff.
Yeah, and we've had a lot of apprentices facilitate for folks who like to hold space and to host and plan retreats. We get a lot of apprentice help for planning, and in communications, it's you know, exposure to all the social media platforms, a lot of creation of things, press releases, social media posts, videos, artistic.
Artistic is sometimes very sluggish, going through submissions processes, filing away scripts, but also how do you take like the data of a room to create another room or curate and create other rooms. We do a lot of work within our like feedback forms that comes up. So a bunch of different things. But also another way to get administrative skills is artist hours. You can actually call in staff members to do any types of trainings that you may like, ask specific questions related to their department. So administrative skills related to your job, but also you can ask questions in that way through artist hours.
Yeah, theater management also does a lot of like facilities and space and producerial, and also they're often at the front desk. So if you like to meet people, if you like to greet them, theater management does that.
And then one question which I think we already covered, but I think they just joined, was applying to more than one apprenticeship.
Yeah, that's totally great. You'll be able to indicate your preferences on the application. As long as you really want them. I would say don't, you know, if it really sounds like a good, and I would say dig into those descriptions. I think they're really descriptive in terms of what your time will look like, what sort of tasks you'll do. So from a task perspective, they're really insightful. So just dig in and see if it looks good to you.
We skipped over roses. So
We
went back to
we
questions.
can do roses before our closing.
We're over by 8 minutes.
Beautiful, yes. Let's close it.
Rose and clothes. I love that. I can't start a rose though. I always have to think of the most.
I'll start. There's a lot. I think for me though, the ultimate rose. That sounded weird. I feel like I'm on The Bachelor, right? The ultimate rose. I just gained tremendous mentors through this program, and I'm still really close with the artistic director here. And I am a shy person, and it's hard for me to create those relationships on my own. And so having that built in and being able to really be in so many rooms and receive feedback and support was incredibly, it was just amazing. And it helped me, it helped me move on in this industry. It helped me get to where I am now. So that was a tremendous rose for me.
I have my rose. Very similar, but like the community that is around, of like, not just like the staff. Like the staff is like sort of like the grounded center. They're always here, and there's, you know, when they're supposed to be. when it's needed, they're gonna be here. But then there's like this rotation of like artists that come in with like different perspectives, or like some of the artists that are like, oh, they're the core program artists. They're always like the residency artists, or like just the people that like have a playwrights reading, a playwrights week reading, who like come in and then like come to the end of the year party. Like just all these people that I ended up meeting that like was easier to meet than like, oh gosh, go out and do a network. Don't want to. That was like really helpful, and I think also helped me get like my next job. So that helped. Like my next administrative job. So helped me make those connections.
Thanks. Yeah.
My rose was, like they both said, the community building and the relationship building was really impactful because a lot of it got to happen very organically. I also know I wouldn't be a part of theater still if it wasn't for those community that I was able to form here. I got to see myself reflected back in such intimate and specific ways by the artists that I was working with. So I'm forever grateful for that.
Thank you. Thank you to the wonderful team that put this together. Program point person Nissy Aya, event producer Jennifer Haley, communications apprentice Wenhan Ju, and of course our past apprentices Maia Safani and Nikomeh Anderson. My rose, of course, is these incredible folks. Seriously, you meet incredible people here that you get to work with, and it gives me life. So thank you, viewers. Thank you, potential apprentice applicants. We're super grateful that you spent this time with us. And again, applications due March 18th, and we appreciate your time. Thank you.
Thank you.